Your calendar is full. Your clients are happy. People tell you your work is valuable. Then you check the month's numbers and realize the income still does not add up. The obvious response is to open a lead board, schedule more calls, and start chasing strangers. But what if more leads are not your first problem? What if the next meaningful increase is sitting inside a client relationship that already has trust? Welcome to Nomad High Income Skills, Episode 18. I'm Aria. Today, you'll learn exactly how to expand existing client relationships so you can attract better opportunities and build sustainable high income.
I am not talking about squeezing every possible dollar out of every client. That is not a business strategy. It is a fast way to damage trust. I am talking about noticing a legitimate next problem, connecting it to an outcome the client already cares about, and offering a specific way to help. I call this the client expansion ladder. You start with the result you were hired to create. Then you look one step beyond it. What is still slowing the client down? What is now possible because the first project worked? And can you address that next need without turning your calendar into a permanent emergency? Think about one client who already trusts your judgment, not necessarily your biggest client. Choose someone with a clear goal, a respectful working relationship, and enough evidence from the past project to give you something real to examine. Open the original brief, your delivery notes, and any results or feedback you received. Ask yourself, what result did this client want? What did my work improve? Where did the process slow down? What question kept coming up? And what opportunity did I notice but leave outside the original scope? Here is the difference between a useful opportunity and a random add-on. If you wrote a launch sequence, perhaps the landing page and the emails are making different promises. If you built an advertising campaign, perhaps the client has traffic, but no reliable way to learn which audience segments are converting. If you designed a website, perhaps the team still cannot explain the offer clearly when a prospect asks one simple question. The connection matters. You are not saying, I have another package. You are saying, there is a next obstacle between your current result and the goal we discussed. Use evidence before enthusiasm. Look for recurring requests, unanswered questions, performance patterns, delayed decisions, manual processes, or places where the client keeps losing time. But remember this, a signal is not proof of demand. That distinction can save you from doing a week of unpaid work. Observe first, propose second, produce third. Do not build a new service because you had an interesting idea on a train, in an airport lounge, or during a late-night planning session. Test whether the client recognizes the problem before you invest in solving it. Once the next problem is clear, give the client 3 ways to move forward. The first level is a diagnostic, a focused review that explains what is happening, why it matters, and what to change. The second is implementation. You make a defined set of improvements over a defined period. The third is optimization, a limited cycle of testing, measurement, and review. Every option needs an outcome, deliverables, timeline, price, and capacity limit. If you cannot describe where the work ends, it is not an offer yet. It is a wish with a calendar invitation. And wishes are not scope documents. The numbers will depend on your market, expertise, and the responsibility you are taking on, so do not treat one example as a universal rate card. But a modest messaging project might have a $750 diagnostic, a $2,500 implementation package, and a $1,200 monthly optimization cycle limited to 2 months. The diagnostic is not cheap because it is short. It is valuable because it improves the next decision. Implementation costs more because you are carrying production and revision responsibility. Optimization is priced around access, testing, and judgment, not simply hours spent staring at a document. Charge what you're worth and make that worth visible. Timing keeps a useful offer from feeling like an interruption. Look for a completed milestone, a campaign review, a planning cycle, a change in priorities, or a result that reveals the next opportunity. Do not make the client responsible for your revenue anxiety. That is a terrible sales manager, and it has no idea what the client actually needs. Before a review, you might write, "We've completed the original work, and I noticed one related opportunity that may help with the next phase. Would it be useful to spend 10 minutes reviewing what I'm seeing?" That gives the client room to say yes, no, or not yet. If they agree to talk, keep the conversation simple. Reconnect to the goal. When we started, you wanted stronger conversion from the launch. Share the observation. The initial message is performing well, but the follow-up materials use a different promise. Explain the possible impact without pretending certainty. That may be creating friction for people who are ready to take the next step. Then ask permission before presenting the option. I could run a messaging review and give you a prioritized revision plan over 1 week. Would you like to see what that would include? No manufactured urgency, no dramatic warning, no proposal for work the client has not agreed is important. There is one more ladder rung that people often skip: protecting your energy. Before you offer anything, test it against your real week. If the client said yes tomorrow, could you deliver at your normal quality? Does the work fit around travel, recovery, and existing commitments? Have you set response windows, meeting limits, and revision rules? What is the stop condition? It might be the completion of 3 tests, the delivery of an action plan, or a formal review after 60 days. Existing clients may be easier to serve, but easy access can quietly become unlimited access. Also, set a client concentration limit. Decide how much of your revenue you are comfortable depending on one relationship. If an expansion would push you past that limit, change the scope, change the timing, or decline the opportunity. More revenue is not automatically more freedom if one client can determine whether you feel safe next month. Build income that supports your lifestyle, not destroys your health. And if the next problem falls outside your expertise, recommend another specialist. Being the right guide does not require being the only provider. Let's make this real. Imagine Maya, a copywriter working remotely while moving between small cities. She was hired by a software company for a launch campaign, 1 landing page, 5 emails, and the core message for a new feature. The launch finished, but during the final review, Maya noticed that the homepage, onboarding emails, and sales deck described the feature 3 different ways. The client did not need another giant campaign. They needed consistency between the first impression and the moment a new user activated the product. Maya asked, "Now that the launch message is in market, where are prospects or new users still getting confused?" The client's first response was, "Do we really need another project?" That was useful information. Maya did not defend the sale. She asked what the confusion was costing the team. The client pointed to the handoff between the landing page and onboarding. Only then did Maya present the latter: a 1-week diagnostic with a consistency map, a 3-week implementation package revising the highest impact pages and emails, or a 6-week optimization cycle with 2 message tests and reviews every other week. The client chose implementation. Maya earned more from the relationship, but the workload trade-off mattered just as much. She blocked 2 focused work sessions each week, kept her travel days protected, included 1 revision round, and scheduled the final review before the engagement began. She did not add daily calls. She did not promise to rewrite every customer touchpoint. She delivered a coherent message, created a stronger case study, and finished on time. That is sustainable expansion, a better result for the client, a better use of your expertise, and a workload you can deliver without resenting the relationship. Here is your 1 client plan for this week. Choose 1 current or former client with a clear goal and a history of respectful collaboration. Create a 1-page expansion map with 6 fields: the original goal, the result delivered, the observed friction, the evidence behind that observation, 3 offer levels, and your capacity limit. Then add a proposed review date. Write 1 sentence describing the next problem in the client's language. Draft the diagnostic, implementation, and optimization options. Include the outcome, deliverables, timeline, price, and finish line. This is not a polished sales page. It is a test for whether a useful next step exists. Before you send the message, ask 1 final question. If the answer is no, can I accept that without changing how I serve this client? If yes, request a short value review. You can say, "I'd like to share 1 observation from the completed work and see whether it is relevant to your next priority." If it is not, no problem.
That sentence is not weakness. It is professionalism. The latter is a testing framework, not an income formula. Some clients will say yes. Some will say no. Some will say later. Your job is to notice where your expertise can create meaningful value and present it honestly.
So remember the path. Start with the client's existing goal. Use evidence to map the next problem. Offer 3 bounded levels: diagnostic, implementation, and optimization. Choose a real timing signal. Invite a value review, and make declining easy. Then protect your scope, access, concentration, and energy. You do not need every client to expand. You need a clear way to recognize when expansion would genuinely help. If you want to build that skill more deeply, explore the Nomad high-income skills courses for premium positioning, proposal writing, client acquisition, rate negotiation, AI-powered services, and sustainable scaling.
Use the courses to strengthen the expertise behind your offer, not to chase a fantasy of effortless income. Your best remote business is built through useful skill, clear promises, and delivery you can sustain. And your calendar is allowed to have empty space. That space may be what lets you think clearly, travel well, recover properly, and do your best work. That's your high-income blueprint for today. Take one action this week and start seeing results. Build income that supports your lifestyle, not destroys your health. And remember, your skills are your freedom currency.